And I see some raised hands. We can write down one or two more. All right. Yes?
He's fearless.
Fearless? All right. Oops, put that down there. Okay, and let's go back onto the presentation. Of course, many of the leaders in the stories that we read about have flaws too. That's a part of a good story. If you read a story about someone who is totally perfect, then it wouldn't be that interesting. So this is where we now have a chance to look at what a really perfect leader is. Maybe someday you'll grow up to be a leader who doesn't have any of the flaws and all of the virtues that we listed. Might be a little difficult, but with some work maybe we could get there. But for now we're going to try to describe the ideal leader. We're going to answer the question, what does the ideal leader look like? So an ideal leader is a great leader, a really good leader, possibly a perfect leader. In order to get you thinking about the kind of leader that you want to be, we're going to write up a description of this ideal leader. And we're going to take the virtues that we wrote down of past, present, and imaginary leaders and apply them to this perfect leader. So first let's take a look at the list of qualities that we created over here. And we're going to use these to write about the perfect leader. So let's just create a character, and it could be either a boy or a girl. Either one is fine. And we want a leader with all of these qualities. It's okay if we don't get all of them across in one little description, but let's start thinking about the kind of leader that we want to create. So, any ideas on character? Yes?
A great leader should be visionary to be able to see what a regular people cannot see.
Okay.
And be able to motivate the people to bring out their best. Not being the best of themselves, but bringing out the best of others.
Let's, for the sake of the description, he or she. She, okay. Well, yeah, maybe that's one of the qualities too. No, I'm joking. Actually, it's funny. When I was putting the presentation together, I was sort of bemoaning my lack of. See, for the historical leaders, it's 3 old. Well, not that old. I mean, they're dead. All of them are dead. But you know, it's white males basically, and I was really because I had to cut down from the original presentation, and I think I had Elizabeth I, Martin Luther King, because again I was going more Canadian, and I would really like to emphasize that despite the lack of diversity that I had in my first, when I have kids then it's much better, but I would like to emphasize that leaders can come from any background, whether they're male, female, whatever it is, you know, that doesn't matter. But for the sake of our story, again, we're going to be doing a boy or girl. So she should be able to motivate others, be visionary, and not too bossy. Okay, I'll throw that in. What is a situation where she might demonstrate one of those qualities? Let's pick a situation. Yes?
Need a good collection of advisors.
Okay, need a good collection of advisors. So maybe there's a problem that she's looking at and advice for it. Okay. So now we're going more into a story format. This is a bit of an abrupt transition. Well, one day, what kind of problem? It can be just a sort of, how about one particularly cold Toronto day, the city's sewer pipes froze. There's probably a system to keep them from doing that, but for the sake of this, froze and broke, unleashing dangerous and smelly raw waste all over the, what neighborhood?
Rosedale.
Rosedale. Is there something wrong with Rosedale, or is it
It's
No, nice area.
It's a nice area. Okay.
They can afford the upgrade.
Okay. I was debating. I was thinking if knowing it was a neighborhood, then maybe I would put like Lower Yorkville because it's where like all the Gucci and Prada and just
Put
Rosedale. The residents evacuated immediately. But the amount of damage done was incredible. What's the name of our leader?
That would be the mayor.
Ross Ford.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
she-
then,
he-
well, we have a she. So, okay, this will, I
That
guess,
would be
be,
Hazel.
I guess this is in the future.
Hazel.
Okay.
This mayor. Hazel has to do with this.
Yeah, sorry, half button.
A lot of wishes they have.
Did you know she is, how old is she, 90?
Really?
She's just
She's
90
90
years.
years.
Oh my
And she
goodness.
won the election.
Wow.
12 years in a row.
12 years.
Who was the other guy?
12 terms.
Nobody would run against her.
No one would run against her. Okay, I was going to say, what was it, like a sack of dirt? I mean, that is really incredible that you can be like a 90-year-old woman. I think that's great. That's great. No one would run against her. That's, wow. Incredible. Okay, so, had to make a quick decision as to how to go about cleaning up the area. As Rob Ford was, I don't know, was incapacitated. What? Okay, fine. I was worried that he was. I mean, we could say as he was currently missing in the Rosedale area. But I thought that was, all right. So this is quick decision making. And getting together a team of advisors. All right. Because she had a few options and little time.
Now that I think about it,
Time.
we're actually cooperating like we talked about.
Yes, exactly. We're cooperating. We're reading together a story together. She decided to get a small group of trusted advisors, as well as some residents of the area together. She set a time limit of 1 hour to decide what they would do. So quick, getting some residents to be part of the and then cooperation. So that would be. She, although some of the advisors began bickering, she quickly stopped any delay, and they went right to work on making a decision. Cooperating. In the end, Rosedale was cleaned up, although there were still some oddly suspicious brown streaks on okay, what's a really, really posh store in Rosedale?
Buildings. Buildings.
On the, sorry?
It's a resident area.
Oh, it's just a residence? Okay, there's not, okay. On some of these houses. All right, there we go.
On Crescent Circle, actually,
On some of the houses on the Crescent Circle. Does anyone here live in Rosedale? I just do
that's a
not.
main street. in
I just don't want to be like bashing your neighborhood without.
Actually, Hazel did something like this. There was a propane derailment in Mississauga.
Oh,
and,
really?
she took it and actually had Mississauga evacuated and cleaned it up. I think that's why nobody would run against her. She's
Oh, because she's just
Oh,
that. Yeah.
Adora heard that story in the taxi driver.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is right. Actually, it's funny. When one time, I think last when we were in Toronto, then we had a car service and they were driving us to Niagara Falls, and the driver was actually from Mississauga, I think. So we might have been interesting. All right. So that is our ideal leader and quick decision making. So we wove in a few of those qualities. But remember, this description isn't our only chance to create an ideal future leader. the future really is not far away, because the future starts tomorrow, today actually, with you. We are leaders, and leaders don't have to, and we mentioned Superman, but leaders don't necessarily have to wear flowing capes and leotards. They can wear blue jeans and track jackets. So I want you to, actually we're going to sit the video, but what movements do you care about? I want to ask the question, what movements do you care about? Yes?
The environment.
The environment, great. What other movements do you care about? Yes?
Community.
Community, great.
Security.
What other? Security, okay. Any other issues? Yes?
Wildlife.
Wildlife, great. So those are a few of the issues that we care about. And I want you to all think about what issues you care about, what issues are important to you. So for instance, one of the ones that I've started is I work with the World Food Program on one of their initiatives called Free Rice, which gets people to answer questions. And for each question you get right, then you donate a grain of rice. So for instance, you donate 60 grains of rice to help hungry people in need. And then the way that happens, the free comes from, you don't have to pay anything. It comes from the banners sponsor the ad. So for instance, remora means Cuban dance, parasite fish meant to rolled meat dish. It's apparently a parasite fish, which I have no idea. But again, you can answer these questions. So that's a movement that I've become involved with, is the fight to end world hunger by getting kids involved. They actually signed me on as a youth representative. So we can pinpoint these issues that we care about and try to take leadership in them. And I wanted to go ahead into leaders of the future. What does this mean? Well, these are kids who are actually leading today, but will also be leading tomorrow. So who will the leaders of the future be? Who are kids you know who are leading today? Are you leading? Raise your hand if you are in a leadership position of some kind. I see some raised hands. Great. And this could be a leadership position at your home. It could be a leadership position at your school. It could be a leadership position in your community. The definition of leadership is very flexible. So for instance, Bridget Berman is an anti-bullying activist. As her issue that she chose to work against bullying in schools. Bilal Rajan is actually from Toronto, and he raised millions of dollars to help victims of flooding in Southeast Asia, as well as raising money for lots of other good causes, and he's a UN youth representative. Priya Ganesan, who I had speak at my TEDx Drummond event, another good example of leadership, becoming active in the city community, parks and trails development, as well as working with lots of scientific work with robotics. And so again, you can be a leader through school, you can be a leader in your city. And what's very important to look at with these leaders of the future is how do we become leaders? Craig Kielberger, actually, he's not a kid, he's now in his 20s, but when he was 12, he started his organization, Free the Children. So you can start at any time and become a leader of the future. Why do you lead? Why is it important for all of us to lead? Yes?
To steer people in the right direction.
To steer people in the right direction, right. Looking back to our definition of leader, it's someone who guides others, yes?
Make places better.
Make places better, right. Yes?
Effect change.
Affect change, right. How do you lead? Any ideas on how you lead? Yes?
Probably not. You'd probably lead not too bossy, not too taking everyone's ideas. You need to be reasonable.
So some of the qualities that we looked at, what are some areas, like as in at school, or do you have some ideas on where you might go to lead? Yes?
I'm in acting class and I tried out for a play, so.
Great, yeah, very good. You're in an acting class, me too, and trying out for a play. So yeah, that would be an example of taking a leadership role. You might maybe helping out someone in your class who's struggling, or volunteering, or any of those ways, great ways to lead. Starting a company, or writing a book, or helping others is an excellent way to get started. Where do you lead? Where do you go to lead? Yes?
The city?
The city, right? So you might ask how you could get involved on a board. So for instance, Priya, who I mentioned, is on the city's Parks and Trails board. And so yeah, there are many ways, many places you can lead. Yes?
You probably wouldn't go to the country because there's not a lot of people there who would notice you.
Yeah,
You
so
have to
probably
be
in the city.
in
Yeah,
an environment with lots of people.
an environment with lots of people, right, where there's a need for leadership. And what do you lead? What are some things you might lead? For instance, a board, as in a group of people, you might lead a class, you might lead any kind of group of people, even one or two people. And what about when do you lead? Well, the time is now, because as I said, the future starts today with you. Thank you so very much for participating in our leadership session. And I will be giving away books. Those of you that participated, one per family. So are you guys related?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can have a look at this book. dancing fingers. There you go. Thank you. Let's see who else participated. Yes, over there. Do you mind passing that up? Yes, you definitely participate quite a bit. Okay. Raise your hand if you participate by answering 2 or more questions. 2 or more here. Okay. Let me. Oops, I didn't grab more books actually.